somebody once did say to me, in general, not just about that, but they said that the thing is about human depravity, if you can imagine it, someone's done it.
Mm-hmm.
But then I just imagined Angela Lansbury kicking a dog to death.
Do you know what? It just smells of children's parties. The entire back end of this cab now smells of children's parties.
Not a sentence that I particularly want to hear, but yeah, we've started against our better will. You know, as a parent, you're always like, oh, we shouldn't give the children anything that's too salty or sugary.
Yeah.
But my boy has been to enough other kids' houses now where they've given him those pom bears.
Oh,
Have
yeah.
you seen those?
Yeah. I quite like pom bear crisps.
Well, I love pom bears.
Better
My
than
wife
Quavers.
keeps telling me off for eating them. She's going, no, they're not for you. They're for children. And I'm like, yeah, but...
You can buy them in Holland and Barrett.
What?
So you can buy pom bears in Holland and Barrett, so they must be
How
reasonably
are they
healthy.
explaining that one away?
Well, I can't... surely Holland and Barrett don't sell unhealthy things.
No.
It's a health food shop, is it not? Or is it changing its game plan?
Maybe that's it. And then McDonald's started selling salads. They tried to make themselves to be more healthy. Maybe Holland and Barrett are like, we're so bored of being seen like these sort of goody, two-shoes, hippie-ish health food people. So we're going to start selling Sunny Delight, Pom Bears, tubes of Pringles.
Yeah. No-name cola?
A lot of no-name cola.
Because you just don't know.
Also, that sort of slightly weird off-brand, like faux Ribena. It doesn't quite taste right.
Oh, I know the stuff.
But it's got an incredible amount of artificial additives.
It's like Vimto's Asbo cousin.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Because Vimto's a little bit naughty. My mother-in-law lives on Vimto because drinking water on its own makes her feel sick.
I don't know where to start with that. I mean, that's just weird.
Yeah.
So drinking water makes her feel sick.
Yeah, if she was to just drink this cold bottle of water now,
she would be sick.
She might not be sick, but she'll feel sick because she just says the taste just makes me feel sick, and you think
Taste, but it doesn't really have taste. I mean, I know some sort of fizzy minerally waters do, but everyone doesn't have a taste. It's intriguing that to take away the taste of water, she chooses a sort of unspecified fruit medley that may or may not have been made in a lab. Just, you know where Vimto is made? On the outskirts of Stockport.
Is that true?
Well, it used to be, certainly. I don't know if
It really is unspecified fruit medley.
It's
very
it's
good
the
description.
drinkable equivalent of one of those car air fresheners that sort of smells of fruit, but you couldn't specify which one.
No, you can't point out individual fruits.
And it doesn't smell like a greengrocer. So it's not really a smell of lots of fruit together. It's the smell of what you imagine lots of fruit together smells like.
Yeah.
If maybe you've never really smelt fruit and you're a robot. And
Talking of which, do you go for air fresheners in cars?
No. I've only ever once bought an air freshener for a car, and I had a Seat Leon long-term test car from Evo magazine, and I lent it to a colleague at Top Gear, and he used it to transport a film crew around during a long day's filming on a wet day.
Oh.
And when I got it back, it smelt of sort of a mixture of like damp grass, stale crisps, and sweat. And it was so unpleasant that I stopped at the petrol station and bought a little Magic Tree vanilla.
Yeah, I like
and then didn't read the instructions and took. You know, you're supposed to leave the sleeve on.
Apparently,
gradually reveal.
Nobody does that.
No, well, I hope they
Nobody just unsheaths it instantly.
Now the thing is, I couldn't bear to hang it from the rearview mirror because I do believe that people who have things hanging from the rearview mirror generally aren't paying attention because it's distracting.
I think the level of Magic Trees hanging from the rearview mirror dictates how many times you've been to prison.
Interesting. I hadn't thought about that.
Because you don't often see threes.
No.
You do.
You've got to watch out then for someone who's got threes.
I saw someone with a 4 the other day, and
Really?
I'm thinking, imagine if they unsheath them all at the same time. You'd be dead.
No,
at the
you'd
wheel.
suffocate.
You would.
You would just suffocate
You would.
because it's an incredibly powerful. So what I did was I hung it from the grab handle in the back.
Yeah.
Tried
Blame
to be
it on the
discreet
kids.
about it.
Blame it on the
And
kids.
the vanilla Magic Tree sort of made it didn't mask in the smell completely of wet dog and leaves and whatever else it smelled of.
It combined powers.
It combined. It was as if I had fallen into a patch of leaves, but in fact my nose had landed on a custard cream biscuit. That was what it smelled like, and it was really odd. I used to start driving that car with the windows down a lot, just trying to air it out, and eventually it's felt like the smell did go.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I thought maybe I'm just getting used to it, and I didn't like giving people lifts in case they kind of went, have you just like wrapped a load of custard creams in some wet carpet? Because it's what it smells like in here.
Custard creams in a wet cup. My son loves custard creams. I've totally gone off custard creams. I think I think if there was a Vegas boxing match that was highly publicised, if it was Bourbon versus custard cream, Bourbon would have many more people betting on it, on his success.
Yeah, I'd bet on Bourbon.
You would, wouldn't you?
I think Bourbon would fight dirty.
It's a svelte.
Custard cream feels like it's a bit sort of like,
Custard cream is
Gary
like,
Lineker of biscuits. Like it plays fair, but sometimes it probably needs to be a bit dirtier.
yeah,
because
it doesn't go out in the sun either. I always fear people that just stay indoors on a hot sunny day. A bit fearful of them.
Yeah, it's odd, isn't it?
Yeah.
Although I did once meet a lady on holiday who had to stay in the shade because she couldn't sweat.
Couldn't
Sweat.
Well, her pores would get inflamed, or how can you not sweat? It's just an involuntary.
Well, that's the thing. I think maybe her body wasn't sweating.
Oh,
Which on the plus side, if you really, she should have gone into like.
Is that like some water retention going on there?
Well, you think about how much fluid you lose through sweating. She would have to sort of adjust the amount of water she drank. Otherwise, she'd be drinking too much water. She'd be weeing all the time.
I love that though. I love that feeling.
What?
As long as you've got a toilet nearby. I absolutely love drinking lots of water and needing to frequently wee, because you just see the detox in it. You feel the detox in action. I'm going to swig now that we've said this. You're drinking that blooming fizzy water again. You haven't asked me why I've got a copy of the Daily Star on my knee.
Why have you got a copy of the Daily Star on your knee?
Because I've been driving a taxi today.
Oh, yeah. Good answer.
And they didn't sell porn. Because they're Sainsbury's.
Do taxi drivers read a lot of pornographical magazines?
I think it's more a trucker.
It's a trucker thing, isn't
It's a long distance, you're sleeping on your own, you're waking up on your own, you're going...
Yeah, I think that's the thing. A cab driver is probably just going to wait until he gets home if he's going to look at a pornographical publication.
Yeah.
As far as I'm aware.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be very comfortable getting into a taxi if the driver at a cab rank
up there.
Yeah, or if you just went up to him at a cab rank and it's quite quiet and he's sitting there and he's just thumbing through a copy of Men Only or something.
Men Only.
Which I probably doesn't.
These are all distant memories.
Yeah.
I'd actually, if I glanced up above the cabbie's head and I saw a copy of Club International. Well, I never
why
knew,
was it international?
Or why was it International Club? Was it Club International or International Club?
I think it was Club International.
Yeah.
I think they just stuck the International on there because Club was taken both as a biscuit and a trim level on certain citrons back in the day.
I'd love to just be Mr. Club. So I eat clubs, I drive a club. Didn't they do an Astra Club as well?
I think they did, yeah. And you would go to a club and
golf club,
carrying a club. No, I'm thinking more like a caveman style.
Yeah.
Why are you carrying that? Because I missed a club.
Yeah. But if
rumours round town, it's not his real name, Don't say that to him. He's got a club.
If I saw a cabbie with a genuine copy of an adult magazine up there, I'd get a warm feeling inside. I'd be sort of like, that's fun, because he's not making any effort to hide it. B, these days it's all on your phone if you want it. It's all there on the internet. People can pretend they don't look at it.
I'm not sure how I feel about people who are unembarrassed to have grot mags about their face. Speaking of which,
do
you remember, if you look at the credits for any TV programme from sort of the 80s up until pretty much the present day, I think, there's always, under the documentaries and things like that, they're using a lot of archive photos and stuff, under the credit for rostrum camera, always be Ken Morse. He is Britain's preeminent rostrum camera. Rostrum camera you put a picture on a plate and they can do those drifts across it to make it more interesting.
Yeah.
And the man who does all that is Ken Morse.
Okay.
Who, certainly when I encountered Ken Morse, operated out of sort of industrial units somewhere in West London. And he smoked a lot of fags of a really weird brand that no one else smoked, like, I don't know, Pall Mall or something.
Camel.
No, lots of people smoke Camel.
In this country?
Yeah, I used
they?
to smoke Camel back when I was a career smoker. Yeah, Camel Blue.
Did you?
But Pall Mall, I think there was something like that in purple packets. Also in like a wide packet. It's obviously not meant to be shoved in a pocket.
Super
That's
wide.
a home smoke.
That's
That's someone who's got the luxury of just leaving smokes around because they just in their domain.
I've got a smoking table.
Yeah. So Ken Morse's studio was a right old mess. But there were boxes of fags around the place. Would you like one? And
Boxes of fags.
and then I had some pictures that needed doing for a show we were working on, and he put them on his plate. His camera was operated by a BBC Model B. Do you remember those?
Mm.
And this was only about 15 years ago or so.
What?
Yeah, someone had written him in the 80s some software for the BBC Model B that operated his camera, so it went on set patterns, and he was like, it works, so why would I change
And it never stopped working.
Well, no, not back then anyway. Maybe now he's upgraded
But
to like
15
an
years
electronic
ago
side.
was 2003.
Actually, it was longer than that. It was probably 2000. Anyway.
But the BBC would have been antique in 2000, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Seemingly.
Yeah, that was some of the early 80s. But anyway, I gave him the pictures. He put the first one on the glass, started doing his thing, and he went, just help yourself to cigarettes, and there's some things to read there if you want them. And I looked over, and there's just this pile of vintage grot.
How deep a pile?
Well, in my head it sort of came up to here, but I think it was probably on a low table, so...
That's a lot of mags.
And
That's
it was like
12 inches of mags.
12 inches of vintage, by which I mean sort of 60s and 70s porn mags. So.
Well, they're almost artworks by that point. It's
Well, that's
almost...
what I was wondering, if he was trying to pass it off as arty, or whether they were just he's never thrown them away because he bought them new.
I think,
I
apart
don't
from the fact that
know.
most of the people photographed in those mags are probably dead now, which is
Or at the
slightly
very
true.
least, someone's grandma.
Yeah.
Imagine getting given a vintage pornographical magazine by Ken Morse and his rostrum camera, opening it up and seeing your own grandmother in there. You wouldn't know where to look.
You really wouldn't, and then you'd wonder whether you should approach the situation with, if she's still alive, with your grandma. Oh gosh!
Or mention it to you, but then if you mention it to your parents, you're just actually you're putting the trauma onto them, because you're basically going. You go, Dad, your mum was in a porn mag in the 60s, and then he's going to go, oh no,
No, she wasn't. She wasn't.
Yes, she was. There it is.
Yeah. Oh, that is Marjorie. You're absolutely right.
Oh. And then he'd ring his brother and go, did you know Mum did? And then it's just,
You can't. You never think.
It was before I met your grandfather. It was all above board. He's a very nice man.
He was a fashion photographer.
Yeah. And he just asked if I wanted to pop my clothes on the chair, and I thought, why not? It was the 60s. You don't understand what it was like.
Right, that's right. He offered me some smokes.
Gran, you were in a grot mag.
Yeah, exactly.
He
Why have you got a feather duster right next to your privates?
His name was Mr. Clapp. Oh, he was such a glamorous man. He had a
Travelled the world.
Citroen. Now wait a minute. I don't think they started using Club until the 70s.
GSA?
Yeah, but that was late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah, it probably was.
God, Gran's story doesn't check out at all.